Hello children, welcome to today's English class. I hope you all are safe and healthy at home. These days you all are busy with your first terminal examinations, and it is very important for you to read the question paper very carefully before you attempt your paper or you start writing your answers. Children, we have finished your syllabus for this year. We have done your prose text, your supplementary text, all the poems, poetic devices, and we have also finished your grammar topics. Today I will be dealing with the reading skills and some passages for comprehension. So, before we move on, let us try to understand how you are supposed to attempt your question regarding the reading section. Children, this year there is a change for you in the marking scheme. You have two passages as usual, but the marking scheme has changed. It is 10 marks each for both the paragraphs, and this year you have multiple choice questions for both the passages. Earlier you used to have two passages of 12 marks and 8 marks. This year both the passages carry 10 marks each, and the questions are option based, multiple choice questions. This year in your question paper you have lot of multiple choice questions. So, as far as your passages are concerned, you will be getting two passages. Your first passage will be a discursive passage, okay, which will be based on inference, evaluation and vocabulary. And the second passage will be a factual passage which will be based on analysis and interpretation. And each paragraph or each passage carries 10 marks. Okay. Now, discursive passage, you have to attempt by inferring, evaluating and by having a rich vocabulary. Children, you need to read a lot, refer to dictionaries every now and then whenever you are reading your prose text or supplementary text or any other reading passage, and you need to learn a lot of new words, because the first passage for your reading skills, you will be getting questions related to vocabulary too. You need to write the answers to questions related to antonyms or synonyms, words having similar meanings, words opposite in meanings, and also you need to write questions related to the words which mean as the words given for you from the passage. So, you need to keep continuously looking into a dictionary and keep learning lot of new words and their meanings. Inference here is your opinion or conclusion based on some known facts or concepts. Okay? Based on your knowledge, when you come to a conclusion or form your own opinion, that is inference. And evaluation, when you read a particular passage which is based on some knowledge which you already have or some facts which you already know, you just try to evaluate how far it is right or it is wrong and how relevant it is or whether it is irrelevant, and how you are going to attempt the questions based on your evaluation. And as I told you, you need to have a very rich vocabulary so that you are able to attempt all the questions related to vocabulary. Okay. So, this was about the discursive passage, okay, which has got some facts, some information, which provides you some knowledge, okay. Maybe some knowledge which you already have about the given passage or the given concepts or facts. And based on your knowledge about concepts and facts, you try to attempt this passage. Now, the second passage is a factual passage, and it is based on analysis and interpretation. Children, you might remember we had discussed about analytical paragraph when we were discussing the writing skills. How to write an analytical paragraph based on the given information in the form of graph, charts, pie charts or histogram or line graph. Okay. And these information given to you in the form of line graph or histogram or bar graph is based on case study. Okay. So, when you read this kind of passage, you need to analyze with the help of the charts or tables which contain information related to the passage. So, you need to learn to interpret the given table or graph or information or the clues based on case study. So, you have been doing this even in your social science subject. You get lot of tables and charts and bar graphs related to different topics of your social science subject, and you try to compare and try to analyze and interpret those information. So, here when you are attempting a factual passage, you need to read the passage very carefully and try to analyze and interpret the information that has been provided to you. And by doing so, you will be able to attempt the passage very correctly and effectively, and you can score good marks. Children, as I have told you in the beginning also, that reading section is the part where you can score full marks if your reading skills are well developed. So, one important thing you need to remember while you are doing the reading skills is that you need to read the passage very carefully, children. You get 15 minutes for your reading of the question paper. So, you need to read the passage once very carefully and try to understand what is the passage about, what is the topic or theme of the passage, and also you try to analyze, try to interpret as you read. And then when you start writing the answers in your answer sheet, so before writing you must once again read the passage. So, before you attempt the questions related to the comprehension passages, you need to read the passage very carefully twice. So, once you read very quickly, you try to just guess what is the topic or what is the passage about, and then The second time you need to really read the passage carefully, as by this time you might have finished reading the questions related to the passages. Okay. So, after you have read the questions and you are reading the passage for the second time, it becomes easy for you to write down the answers or to find out the answers quickly from the passage. So, children, today I have passages for you which are based on the current pattern of the CBSE question paper, the type of questions which you are going to get this year in the reading section. So, let us look into a sample passage and try to solve the questions related to the passage or the questions that follow the passage. Children, I will be reading the passage for you. So, please do listen very carefully as I read the passage, and for the second time, as the passage is on your screen, you can read once more, and then we will go to the question answers, multiple choice questions, and we will try to attempt. So, the first passage that we are going to solve is a discursive passage, and therefore, you need to use these for your solving of the passage, that is inference, evaluation and your vocabulary. Okay. So, let us move on to the passage. The choices we make on a daily basis, wearing a seat belt, lifting heavy objects correctly, or purposely staying out of any dangerous situation, can either ensure our safety or bring about potentially harmful circumstances. You and I need to make a decision that we are going to get our lives in order. Exercising self-control, self-discipline and establishing boundaries and borders in our lives are some of the most important things we can do. A life without discipline is one that is filled with carelessness. We can't think it is kind of exciting to live life on the edge. We like the image of, yeah, that is me, living on the edge. Woohoo! It has become a popular way to look at life. But if you see, even highways have lines which provide margins for our safety while we are driving. If we go over one side, we will go into the ditch. If we cross over the line in the middle, we could get killed. And we like those lines because they help us to be safe, or they help to keep us safe. Sometimes we do not even realize how lines help to keep us safe. I am not proud of this, but for the first 20 years of my life at work, I ignored my limits. I felt horrible. Physically, most of the time, I used to tell myself, I know I have limits and that I have reached them, but I am going to ignore them and see if or how long I can get by with it. I ran to doctors trying to make myself feel better through pills, vitamins, natural stuff and anything I could get my hands on. Some of the doctors would tell me, it's just stress. That just made me mad. I thought stress meant you don't like what you do or can't handle life. And I love what I do. But I kept pushing myself, traveling, doing speaking, engagements and so on, simply exhausting myself. Finally, I understood I was living an unsustainable life and needed to make some changes in my outlook and lifestyle. You and I don't have to be like everyone else or keep up with anyone else. Each of us needs to be exactly the way we are, and we don't have to apologize for it. We are not all alike, and we need to find a comfort zone in which we can enjoy our lives instead of making ourselves sick with an overload of stress and pressure. So, children, I hope you have heard the passage very carefully as I tried to read it for you. Now, let us move on to the question answers and try to solve them. On the basis of your understanding of the passage, answer any 10 questions from the 12 that follow. So, in both the reading passages, you will be getting 12 questions, out of which you have to attempt only 10. And children, one thing you need to remember is, when you are attempting the reading section, which is option based, you have to write only the correct option. That means only one option. Sometimes in a hurry, you write two options. Maybe you think, let the examiner take the correct option and give me marks. So, that is not going to happen. So, please remember, you have to answer only one, or you have to choose only one option. That is the correct option, and write down in your answer sheet. So, let us look at the first question. The reason why living on the edge has become popular is because of there are 4 options: constant need for something different, population being much younger, exhausting effort to make changes, strong tendency to stay within our limits. So, now children, we had read the passage, and now what would be the answer? Why living on the edge has become popular? Because there is constant need for something different, isn't it? What we have understood, children, about the passage, what it is about? It talks about our capacity, our interests, our talents, isn't it? Everybody is different. Everybody is different in capacities, talents, okay, and opportunities knocks at the door of everyone at a different time and in a different manner. So, we must not compare ourselves to others and be stressed, isn't it? That was what the passage was about. So, when you read the passage, as I told you, you need to understand what the passage was about, the theme or the topic. So, here living on the edge has become popular because there is a constant need for something different. So, option A is the correct answer. Now, let us move to the second question. Children, here you have a small table and there are 4 options for you. Choose the option that best captures the central idea of the passage from the given quotes. So, children, please listen carefully as I explain you the type of questions you will be getting this year. Here there are 4 quotes, okay, by different people, and in those quotes, or let me put it this way, in one of these quotes you have the idea of the passage. So, you need to identify which quote talks about the idea of the passage. Okay. So, let us try to read all the 4 quotes. It is all about quality of life and finding a happy balance between work and friends. The second one is, to go beyond is as wrong as to fall short. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And the last one is, balance is not something you find, it is something you create. So children, what do you think? Which will be the right quote which talks about the central idea of the passage? According to me, it is the fourth one, and I hope you will agree with me, isn't it? Balance is not something you find, it is something you create. Okay? So, you do create opportunities for yourself, you do make best use of your talents and capacities, and you do create opportunities for yourself with the help of the qualities you possess or all the positive thing you possess. So, option 4 is the right option. Now, let us move to the third question. Which of the characteristics are apt about the writer in the following context? Now, we have to find out that which of the options or qualities, adjectives that are given below talks about the nature of the writer. Which of the characteristics are apt in the following context? A context has been given for you. I know I have limits and that I have reached them, but I am going to ignore them and see if or how long I can get by with it. Okay. So, now which quality of the writer is revealed through these particular reference to context. Let me read it for you once again. I know I have limits and that I have reached them, but I am going to ignore them and see if or how long can I get by with it. Okay. So, which are the options? See, two qualities have been taken together, children, in the options. See, option A is 2 and 5, 3 and 6, 1 and 4, or 2 and 3. Okay. So, here it will be option 1 and option 4. That means option C, negligent and reckless. Negligent is when you are careless and when you become heedless of things. You do not bother, you just neglect things, and you feel okay, things are like that, let them go on. And reckless here means, you might have heard the term reckless driving. Here reckless again when you do things without thinking about the positive or negative impact of your actions. You drive at a very high speed or you do not follow the traffic rules, that is called reckless driving, because you do not worry about the consequences of your action. So, here when the author says, I know I have limits, the author knew his limits and he says that I have reached my limits, but still he is saying that okay, let me ignore them and let me see how far can I move on, go on in life. So, that means even after knowing his limits, he is trying to cross his limits. He knows that he has crossed his limit and that is what he can do, but still he says that no, now let me see how far I can move on like this. So, that means he was negligent and he was reckless. So, option C would be the correct option. So, let us move on to the next question. Which of the following will be the most appropriate title for the passage? Okay. Much too soon, enough is enough, how much is too much, or have enough to do. So, what do you think? it is option C, how much is too much. After we have read the passage, the author has realized finally that everybody is not the same. Everybody has got their own potentials, their own capacities. So, this he has realized at the end of the passage. So, we need to know our limits and we need to move accordingly in our life. So, that is how much is too much. It will not be have enough to do or enough is enough or much too soon, but it would be how much is too much. So, that is option C. Now, let us move on to the next question. The phrase potentially harmful circumstances refers to circumstances that can certainly be dangerous, be fairly dangerous, be possibly dangerous, seldom be dangerous. Children, this is a question. Here there is a phrase and you have to find out the correct meaning of the phrase. So, as I told you children, your vocabulary must really be good. Now, here you need to first know what would be the meaning of this phrase. So, you need to know the meaning of potential, you need to know the meaning of circumstances, or there is a word seldom there. Seldom here means hardly, very rare. Okay. So, you need to know the meanings of these words so that you are able to find the right option. So, here potentially you might have come across this word potential, that means something which is there, which is possible. Okay. So, that can be possible. So, certainly be dangerous, no. Potential means it is not being certain or not be fairly dangerous, and seldom means hardly be dangerous. Potentially harmful circumstances means it could be, there are chances. Okay. So, be possible, possibly dangerous. So, option C would be the correct option. Now, let us move to the next question. Select the option that makes the correct use of unsustainable as used in the passage to fill in the blank space. So, children, now try to understand this question. Here the correct use of unsustainable. You might have heard the term sustainable in your social science. Okay? Sustainable resources, sustainable development. Sustainable means without harming the present and also thinking about the future, something which will go on, which will not get exhausted. So, but here it is unsustainable. So, it is opposite of sustainable. So, you need to see where you can use this word unsustainable, in which of the options. Okay. In the long run, the officials followed emergency procedures. Emergency procedures were so you see children, in the first blank you cannot say the unsustainable officials, or in the second option also you can't say emergency procedures were unsustainable. Officials reported an here again you can't say unsustainable set of events during the emergency. So, option 4 would be the right option. Officials admit that the emergency system is unsustainable in the longer run. Now, look at the next question. The author attempts to, there is a blank, the readers through this write-up. Rebuke, question, offer aid to, or offer advice to. So, what is the writer trying to do? What is he trying to attempt? He is trying to offer advice to. So, option D would be the right option. The author uses colloquial words such as yay and woohoo, which of the following is not a colloquial word? Colloquial word means, children, something which is not formal, something which you words which you use informally, you know, when you talk with your friends and you know, sometimes with your family members. Okay, you do not use colloquial language when you are studying or you are writing answers. So, hooked, guy, stuff and stress. So, here stress is not a colloquial word. So, children, you need to read the question very carefully. Here it is, which of the following is not a colloquial word. So, please do not think which is a colloquial. So, not, you have to read very carefully, or you can make a mistake while writing the answers. So, stress would be the correct option. What does the author mean when he says to get our lives in order? That means to resume our lives, to organize our lives, to rebuild our lives, or to control our lives. So, it is to organize our lives. So, option B is the right option. Now, choose the option that correctly states the true meaning of outlook as used in the passage. Again, you should know the meaning of outlook. So, out of these options, a person's evaluation of life, a person's experience in life, a person's point of view towards life, a person's regrets in life, a person's general attitude to life. Option C would be the right option, that is 3 and 5. Okay. The author explains the importance of discipline and boundaries in our lives using the example of road accidents, traffic rules, lines on the highway, safe driving. This question is very easy. The option is lines on the highway. Now, question number 12, what is the message conveyed in the last paragraph of the passage? Love what you do, love yourself, to love others, be the best version of yourself, be yourself. So, the correct option would be the best version of yourself. So, I hope, children, you have understood how you have to attempt the question related to the reading section. In the next class, we will try to attempt one more passage. So, I will see you in the next class with a new passage. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay at home.